Surrounded by the Pacific Ocean on all sides, Vancouver Island is inspired by the water every day and in every way. And from things that live in our ocean to things you make from our ocean, seaweed harvesting to sea-inspired menus, I'm off to explore the amazing place that I call home on the Greater Victoria Flavour Trail. Welcome to the Shaw Centre for the Salish Sea. This award-winning aquarium is fully non-profit and features 35 live aquarium habitats with more than 160 marine species and 3,500 animals. Inside, you'll find breathtaking mammal artifact displays, various aquariums and exhibits, and the Salish Sea store with locally sourced jewelry, gifts, and crafts. This is also where you enter the space through a giant captain's door, which may be my favorite part. Their self-guided tours host more than 70,000 annual visitors. And a highlight for many of those visitors is the shallow pools where you can get up close with various colorful sea creatures. So what do I have here?
You have an urchin, and I'm going to teach you the scientific name for that species.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Strongylus entrotus purpuratus.
Strongylus entrotus purpuratus.
Very, very good.
Yes.
So you can call it, if you wish, though, just the purple urchin.
Purple urchin?
Purple urchin.
The pretty
I have
urchin.
here a red sea urchin,
Okay.
which is a much bigger species.
Yeah.
Much deeper. You'd have to be a scuba diver to find this species.
Okay.
The one that you have there, you could find at a nice, really good low tide along the shorelines of the Salish Sea. What I'm going to get you to do is gently put your hand on the top.
Okay.
And see if you can gently turn it over.
It's not going to poke me?
It won't poke you.
Okay,
Nope,
thank
they're
you.
safe.
Oh, I'm
And
stuck.
what we're going to do is have a look at the teeth that they use for eating.
Oh, okay.
So right in the middle there, you should see 5 sharp, bright white teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, like
And they
right
just
around
open
there?
and close, and they crunch and munch seaweed.
These lucky guys graze all day, and with each bite they leave a star-shaped scratch pattern, like you can see on this oyster.
I would really like to show you some sea stars. Some people are
Okay.
familiar with them as starfish, but we're knowing now that they are not at all related to like a salmon or a tuna. So we are calling them sea stars.
Yeah, that's
And in
fair.
front of me here, we have a galaxy of stars. It's what our fun collective noun for a bunch of sea
That's
stars
what it is, as
together.
opposed to like a flock of birds.
Exactly, exactly.
That's awesome, actually.
So I'm gonna bring up one sea star that I really, really like. And this is the leather star.
The lather star.
Sometimes the name of these species gives some kind of indication of their color or their behavior. In this particular case, the leather star, the name refers to sort of the slimy, soft, smooth leather feel of it.
Okay. I've got one right here. Can I try?
Yeah,
Or
you
is
just
it
give a little
just, like,
gentle wipe with your finger there.
It's like your shoes when you leave them outside in the rain.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just go a little bit to your right, there's a bat star there, and give that a feel, and you can feel that
This
it's
one here?
very different than the leather star.
Bat star. Oh yeah, it's not spiky, but of course like sandpaper almost.
It's like
Yeah.
sandpaper. Sometimes I compare it to, the rough of a cat's tongue. It's a bit rough like
Yeah.
sandpaper.
Why is it called a bat star?
The arms of the bat star you can see are very clearly webbed like a bat wing. So again, the name sort of alludes to its appearance.
Another really cool fact about these sea stars is how they eat.
We digest our food on the inside. Sea stars digest their food on the outside, or at least they begin that process.
Really?
So they eject their stomach out over their food, use enzymes to digest the food, the mussel, the oyster, the clam,
Yeah.
liquefy the food, and then absorb it all up, pull their stomach back in, and then continue on with their day.
I'm just imagining somebody doing that in a restaurant right now.
Well, it's funny you should say that. Some people refer to sea stars as dining out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one way to put it. They try to keep this habitat as realistic as possible, mimicking what you'd see in the ocean, including sand, rock, shell animals, and shells that are left behind.
Caleb, can I show you one more thing?
Please, yeah.
Excellent. I'm gonna come over here and show you
Okay.
a sea anemone.
Anemone.
Anemone, I know it's a tongue twister. Anemones move very, very slowly and we unfortunately can't pick them up, but I'm gonna reach in with one little finger and I'm gonna show you what they do
Okay,
when I do that.
okay. Is he eating you?
No, he's not, although he might be giving a very hard try at it. This anemone is sending little tiny stinging cells out at my skin.
Oh.
I am not their preferred prey, so it doesn't affect me. But if it was a small shrimp, a small krill, some other small organism, it would sting it and paralyze it. It would pull it back into its mouth in the middle.
Suck it up. Like a jellyfish, but like this way.
Yeah, so it would pull in, it would close in and bring the food into the mouth in the middle. The stinging cells also, though, offer a level of protection, so it can sting things that they want to keep away.
So hunting and defense.
Exactly.
That's super cool. I absolutely love what you have going on here. Thank you for having me, Tina.
You're welcome.
From the sea to whiskey. The next stop on this flavor trail is Caledonian Distillery and Twa Dogs Brewery. After moving to Canada, founder Graham McAloney was inspired to bring traditional Scottish whiskey making together with the best of West Coast craft brewing. With a love for whiskey that only a Scotsman can have, he also set out to create the finest single malt whiskey in North America. We start our tour at the Smoker.
So what we're doing is we're creating big smoky peaty whiskies.
Okay.
To do that, you start with great Canadian barley, British Columbia barley,
Fantastic.
grown locally, and then we smoke it using local peat.
Yep.
We burn the peat in this Wilk stove, and the peat smoke goes up into the barley bed, and that smokes the barley.
So that's your barley bed there.
Yeah.
How much barley is in there?
2,000 kilograms.
2,000 kilograms. That's enough to eat a lot of cereal. This smoking process takes 30 hours, and it takes about a week to create a high potency bottle of moonshine. But for the product to be considered actual whiskey, it has to sit in a bottle and age for a minimum of 3 years.
For me, as a whiskey maker, it's all about terroir.
Yeah.
We have the local peat, but we wanted to switch it up, and so we do a version with peat, and then we do a version with peat and seaweed.
Okay.
And then we take that sugar kelp, it's called,
Okay.
and the sugar kelp we burn with the peat to infuse an essence of West Coast into the whiskey.
What's the predominant difference?
For me, it really is building in that maritime flavour. It's almost like walking along a Victoria beach or a Vancouver Island beach. Those dry seaweed notes are in the maritime notes, and even a hint of salt are coming through in the whiskey.
All this smoke gave me quite the thirst. So we head to their barrel room next to try some very young whiskey, which is in the process of aging.
If you want to grab a couple of the Glencairns, I'll get the Copper Thief. This is called because we're going to steal some whiskey out of this barrel with the Copper Thief.
I love it.
And this is cask strength.
Okay, which means?
It's a way up at 60% ABV, alcohol by volume.
Oh, wow.
What we're going to do is we'll add a wee bit of water, just to cut it a wee bit. And this will bring it down to about 46%.
Okay, a little more reasonable.
Slancher.
Cheers.
So on the nose, you're going to get a very delicate peat smoke at this point. But because it's got the seaweed in it, hopefully you're starting to get some sort of a kind of a maritime nose coming off it. But on the palate, you're going to find that it explodes into big peat on the palate.
There's lots of peat on the palate.
Yeah.
But you're right, on the nose, it almost just has an uncanny roundness for being so young, right? Which is surprising, because it's only 7 months.
And that's what makes our whiskies world award winning, is they've got that complexity, the layers, the balance,
But it's pretty hot still. Like I'm a bourbon drinker, and it really appeals to that, because it's a little fiery still.
Yeah, and that's a good thing actually, because at this stage, 7 months old, if I've got that acid in there, that fieriness, it's going to react with the alcohol and create more tropical fruit flavours that are going to come out in the whiskey. So this is a good thing at this stage.
These guys are known for giving great tours, and you can see why. This place is amazing. The brewery itself is massive, and this is where they carefully craft their 13 varieties of beer, including their Devil's Apron ISA, which also uses seaweed. They serve cold libations on their outdoor patio full of kilts and craft beer lovers alike, and they're very proud of their copper stills, which we head to next.
These are some of the biggest pot stills in North America for craft whiskey. So this is 5,500 litres.
That's, how many barrels is that?
About 2.5 barrels, roughly.
Yeah. So like 500 bottles or something?
About 1,000 bottles, yeah.
Holy crap. The copper in these stills promotes the fruity flavor that they're known for. And the shape is important too, with all those curves making a super light spirit. But how does this all work?
This would be like about an 8% beer that we distill, and all those vapors come off.
Okay.
And they get converted into what we call low wines.
Low wines.
So this is the low wines coming off from that still.
Which is?
It's about 28% alcohol, right? 28%
Okay.
spirit.
Okay.
And we collect that, all of it, and then when we're ready to do the second distillation, we charge it into this spirit still.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a double distillation. When this comes off,
Yeah.
it'll come off initially into this pot here,
Yeah.
but then, as you can see, I can actually cut the spirit and
Ah.
divert it. So what we do is at the beginning, we send the first 10 minutes to recycle, because that makes the moonshiners go blind. We don't want to collect that. This is the good stuff.
Okay.
This is what we call the heart. This
heart.
is your future whiskey. And we'll collect this for a few hours, but then eventually it gets too heavy.
Okay.
So we stop collecting and then we divert it to recycle.
And then you cut it back. And now to the heart of why I'm here, to sample some award-winning whiskey.
On the nose, you're going to get massive tropical fruits.
Oh, it's so smooth and
Yeah.
so fruity now.
You're getting the big red wine notes coming through.
Yeah.
Tropical fruit, a really good oak presentation as well now.
And the peat has really not faded to the back, but really just melded everything together.
Yeah, for sure.
That's stunning. This is a taste I'll be back for, and I suggest you do the same. If you're anything like me, you've seen it, you've eaten it, but you really don't know much about it. I'm talking about seaweed. Our next stop on this flavor trail is to visit Cascadia Seaweed, who are experts in the field. Cascadia is one of the largest North American providers of cultivated seaweed, which is a climate-positive crop that only uses the sea and sunlight to grow. Cascadia currently has 20 acres of commercial crops, and by 2025 they plan to have 500, which is about the size of 1,000 football fields. I can't wait to find out more, so I head to the water to meet Dr. Jennifer Clark, their chief scientist. So you're a doctor of phycology?
I am a doctor of phycology.
Yes. I knew I was going to get it right.
Some people don't actually know what a phycologist is.
Yeah, what is it?
So phycos means, in Greek, means algae,
Okay.
and ology is the study of. So I study algae, and particularly I study marine algae, which is more commonly known as seaweed.
Seaweed?
Yeah.
Those are plants.
No, so that's a common misconception. Seaweeds are not actually true plants in
Really?
the sense that they don't have roots, shoots, and leaves like trees that we
Oh.
plant. And so these guys are really passive. They kind of
Yep.
take up their nutrients without bringing it up through like roots, like traditional roots.
Okay.
They have things that look like roots, but they're not actually involved in any of the nutrient transportation.
Oh, really?
Yep. So they suck up lots of nutrients passively through their cells.
Seaweeds certainly are multitaskers. Along with being super nutritious and delicious for people, seaweed is also valuable to our coastal ecosystem.
They're natural bioremediators. They
What
suck
does-
up extra nutrients from runoff, so they
Okay.
can kind of clean up the ocean that way.
Okay.
And they actually, along with phytoplankton, they produce about 50% of the global oxygen production.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're super important.
So no seaweed, no breathing.
Yeah, part of it, yeah.
There are some 600 species of seaweed in BC alone, and some kelps can grow 10 to 30 centimeters in a day. These organisms are also very important for the future of our planet.
Greenhouse gases are increasing since the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Seaweeds, through natural photosynthesis, they uptake excess atmospheric CO2.
Yep.
And they produce oxygen. And then they actually store that carbon in their tissues. So if that tissue kind of sloughs off and gets buried over time, that's called carbon sequestration. And it's locking away that CO2 in the substrate for, hopefully millions of years.
I love that. I love that it's like farming that's edible, but also actually has a positive impact as opposed to just like stripping the earth of more things. Where
Absolutely.
You're actually adding back to it in a good way.
Yeah, they're absolutely incredible organisms, and I think we need to include seaweed more in our daily lives, both as food and planting them for benefits for the environment.
I love how great these things are for the planet. But I'm curious about the edible aspects of these little superfoods as well. So wind in my hair, I head to the shore to meet up with Christine, a global culinary trendologist, or a food wizard as I like to call her. She explores and experiments with upcoming food trends like seaweed.
Caleb, I want you to try some sugar kelp.
Okay.
So, as you can see, sugar kelp is very thin. Isn't the color gorgeous? It's amazing.
I love how it's opaque. It's almost like stained glass.
Very good description. So you can take this seaweed, you can wash it and blanch it, and think about using it in some places in case of spinach. So if you were making an omelet and you were putting in spinach, why don't chop up seaweed, particularly sugar kelp, and put it in a dish?
Okay, so sugar kelp, so I'm assuming it's sweeter, on the sweeter side?
I want you to taste it and tell me.
Okay. And how has this been processed before I put it in my mouth?
This has been rinsed and this has been blanched.
Okay. And it's safe?
And it's very safe.
Promise.
Promise.
Okay.
So the first thing you may notice is the texture. It's very tender.
It is. It's super delicate, right?
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Seaweed is not only delicious, this is a superfood at its best. Seaweed is high in iodine, iron, vitamin C, antioxidants, fiber, vitamin K, vitamin B12, and a range of other nutrients. And as Christine shows me, you can put it in anything.
So I've made some decadent seaweed brownies.
Okay.
So
awesome.
give this a taste and tell me.
I will. What is your base of it? Or are you gonna make me guess?
Lots of chocolate. Lots of pureed beets. Again, very, very healthy. And then the sugar kelp is in there. So it's healthy to have the kelp in there.
So it's like full of goodness.
Full of
and
goodness.
like total junk food is actually good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I think about innovation, and part of being a global culinary trendologist is thinking about innovation. Innovation to me is something that tastes good, that's good for you, and good for the planet.
Yep.
And this is what seaweed is.
You heard the lady. Seaweed is the food of the future. So go out and enjoy some. The last stop on this flavor trail is at the iconic Fairmont Empress in the heart of downtown Victoria. Built in 1908, this is one of the oldest hotels in BC, and visitors come from all over the world to stay in their beautiful suites. The Empress isn't only about hospitality, it also has an amazing food program which supports local producers, farmers, and growers. They also grow their own herbs and veggies even closer to home.
This is our rooftop culinary garden. And so we grow a bunch of different things up here that we do our best to use up in the kitchens.
Amazing.
And it kind of changes throughout the season depending on what's coming in and out of season. There's certain things that are good to grow year round. Stuff like rosemary and thyme are pretty hardy herbs.
Yep.
But other things come in and out of season, and we try to use them as best we can when they're at the peak of the season. One of my favorite underrated herbs to use is actually fresh bay leaf. So it just gives a completely different aroma and flavor to your soups and stocks.
It is so much fresher. It's almost, it is a very anisey, right?
It is, it's wonderful.
Yeah, which really abates when it's dried.
Yeah, it's a totally different experience than using a dry bay, for instance.
For sure.
Lavender, of course, is one of our products we use throughout the hotel. We use it in our spa treatments. Right now in afternoon tea, we're making a lavender macaron.
Amazing, so good.
And again, you know, a lot of people might not realize what lavender looks like, but of course everybody knows the smell. It's
so
lovely.
Pretty. It's gorgeous. And you have a few different kinds of lavender up here, don't you?
We do. We have a few different varieties, and again, they come in and out of season at different times. So that way we get lavender throughout the season.
I'm gonna chew on it a little bit actually, because I love it.
And then this is fennel top. So then we'll use this in salads. Of course, we'll use the fennel in different salads as well, but we can take this and we'll chop this up as a garnish or serve it on different fish dishes and things like that.
And you get enough fennel top up here to actually use it. That's amazing.
Edible flowers, of course. These are pansies, but we have different flowers, again, coming in and out of season.
What do pansies taste like?
Let's find out.
Yeah. Thank you. It's like I feel like nobody actually knows. Like
Quite a mild flavor.
a little sugary, eh? Like a little sweet,
There's
but
a bit of sweetness to them.
so what else do you grow up here then?
We have smaller plots of things. We have a little bit of asparagus that grows. We have rhubarb. We actually grow some strawberries in sections. We have onions and garlic and things like that.
It's kind of mind-boggling how much actually grows up here and like in our environment.
And it's literally steps away from the kitchen, so
Yeah.
it's a 0 mile cooking for sure.
We head down to eat at Q Restaurant, which is currently on Canada's best bar list. They're known for their curated cocktails, beautiful indoor-outdoor dining spaces, and of course, their amazing food. All right, that looks so good, Chef.
Well, we have all these dishes here are available on our veranda. So it's something that we're really excited about. Eating al fresco, beautiful view here, looking at the harbor and the wonderful grounds of the Empress. So I think it's the patio to be on for sure.
Walk me through what we have.
So let's start with the oysters first. So
Okay.
the oysters, again, very local. These particular ones happen to be Effingham. We use whatever is in season and available and the freshest, of course. And we're serving it with a thyme and berry granite. So again, the thyme that we grow up on the rooftop herb garden. So then you would just scoop a little bit of this onto your oyster. And if you like lemon, you could have a squeeze of lemon.
Perfect.
For me, the flavor of a fresh oyster in the summer and with the berry mignonette, I think it's lovely.
And the rooftop thyme granite is so complimentary on that. I love it.
Yes, thank
So
you.
good.
This one here is a great sort of sharing plate.
Thank you.
This is a spring pea hummus
Beautiful.
along with a roasted chili eggplant and a vegan coconut tzatziki. And then on top we have some crispy quinoa and some grilled pita for dipping.
How do you make the tzatziki?
So the tzatziki is made with coconut milk and grated garlic and grated cucumber. And then our other dish here is a tuna poke. On the bottom, we've got sushi rice, and then we've got a whole little selection of goodies. So we've got avocado, we have a seaweed salad that's made with local pickled kombu. We have cucumber, kimchi, and then tuna, raw ahi tuna.
What do you have on that tuna?
The tuna, we dress it in an unagi sauce.
That dish wins big time. That's awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Chef.
It's been great having you here.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's the ending of this flavor trail adventure, and I really feel like I've seen it all.